Hello everyone, and welcome. This is Six Path Weeb, and you're watching my channel, where imagination rewrites destiny and familiar stories take unexpected turns. Today's fanfic explores a darker, more intriguing path in the Naruto universe. What if Naruko Uzumaki gained access to Orochimaru's forbidden jutsu? A power feared by many. Techniques meant to defy nature itself. And a shinobi whose fate was already extraordinary, now pushed even further beyond the norm. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The content on this channel is created for entertainment and discussion purposes only. I do not own any anime footage used in these videos. All rights and credits belong to their respective creators and copyright holders. With that out of the way, let's begin. Naruko Uzumaki and the Quiet Test of Team 7. After receiving the mission details, the newly formed Team 7 set out together with calm determination. Their goal was to meet Kabuto, who had agreed to share information after recent events involving Lady Chio and Sakura's impressive medical training. The team consisted of Yamato, a composed and thoughtful leader, Sai, a quiet boy assigned to the mission by higher command, Sakura Haruno, a skilled healer and Tsunade's proud apprentice, and finally, the heart of the story, Naruko Uzumaki. None of her teammates knew her full history. They did not know about her family name, or the long years she had spent training with Jiraiya. What they did know was that Naruko had grown stronger, steadier, and wiser. As they traveled, Naruko walked slightly ahead, her hands folded behind her head, eyes focused on the path. "So," Sakura said gently, breaking the silence, "do you really think this lead will help us bring Sasuke back?" Naruko smiled, confident but thoughtful. "I believe it will. We just have to trust each other." Still, in her heart, Naruko sensed that the mission would test them in ways they did not expect. Somehow, things were never simple for Team 7. When they reached the meeting point, everyone quietly took their positions. Yamato used a careful disguise technique, appearing as someone Kabuto would trust. Naruko stayed hidden, calm and alert, listening closely. Kabuto soon arrived, looking uneasy but determined. "It has been a long time," he said cautiously. Yamato, staying in character, asked careful questions. Kabuto explained that Orochimaru changed locations often and relied on secrecy rather than strength. His words were rushed, as if time itself was chasing him. Naruko finally spoke from the shadows, her voice steady. "It makes sense now. You were always searching for who you really were." Kabuto looked surprised but did not deny it. Soon after, the presence of Orochimaru was felt, not through force, but through an unsettling calm. Instead of attacking, he stepped forward confidently, assuming he had control of the situation. Yamato quietly signaled the others to regroup. Naruko stepped out into view, her expression serious but composed. "This isn't a contest," she said firmly. "We're not here to prove who is stronger." Orochimaru narrowed his eyes, clearly caught off guard. Naruko took a deep breath, and a soft, glowing energy surrounded her, not wild or dangerous, but balanced and controlled. It faded just as quickly, leaving everyone stunned by her discipline. With a smooth motion, she summoned two sealed tools, beautifully crafted training swords designed for focus exercises, not harm. She did not swing them. Instead, she placed them gently into the ground between herself and Orochimaru. "These represent choices," Naruko said. "The path of control, or the path of obsession." The air grew quiet. Orochimaru said nothing. Kabuto looked down, thoughtful. Naruko turned back to her team, her calm smile returning. "Let's go. We have what we need." As they left together, Sakura felt a renewed sense of hope. Yamato observed Naruko with newfound respect. Even Sai seemed curious. Naruko walked on, confident not because of power, but because she had learned something far greater: how to stand firm without causing harm, and how to grow without losing kindness. And that was what truly made her strong. Naruko of the Uzumaki, a story of balance and growth. Naruko Uzumaki had come a long way since leaving her village. During her travels, she chose to study kenjutsu not to harm others, but to understand discipline, focus, and balance. Her journey led her to the peaceful ruins of Uzushio-Gakure, where ancient Uzumaki artifacts rested quietly, protected by seals only her clan could understand. Many believed the artifacts were lost forever, but Naruko knew better. The Uzumaki never left things unguarded. Though time had worn the stone and faded the carvings, the wisdom within remained strong. Among the relics were two ceremonial swords. The first, Ryuketsu no Yo, was not a weapon of harm, but a blade symbolizing responsibility. It responded only to calm hearts and reminded its wielder that power must always be guided by kindness. The second, Yoso Seifuku, represented harmony with nature. It allowed Naruko to understand the elements, not to control them, but to listen to them. Naruko practiced her techniques carefully, forming hand signs and gently releasing a breeze with a simple wind technique. The air danced forward like a playful gust, lifting leaves rather than disturbing the ground. She smiled, satisfied with her control. As her team reunited, Yamato observed her quietly. He noticed something different. Naruko was calmer now, thoughtful, and steady. She no longer rushed forward without thinking. Sakura noticed it too. "You seem different, Naruko," Sakura said kindly. "Stronger, but also more peaceful." Naruko nodded. "I learned that strength isn't about overpowering others. It's about understanding yourself." Even Kabuto, who once walked a confusing path, was now traveling with them under careful supervision, guided by rules meant to keep everyone safe. Naruko chose trust balanced with caution, believing people could grow when given the chance. Later, Sai volunteered to go ahead and send a message to their teammate, Sasuke, letting him know they had come not to fight, but to talk. Naruko believed communication was always worth trying first. When they finally reached the hideout, Sasuke stepped forward, guarded but curious. "Why are you here?" he asked. Naruko met his gaze without anger. "I'm here to remind you that you still have a place to return to. You don't have to walk alone." The silence that followed wasn't heavy. It was thoughtful. Naruko stood tall, not because she was fearless, but because she had learned who she was. Her journey had shaped her into someone who valued patience, understanding, and hope. And for the first time in a long while, everyone felt that something good could still come from choosing the right path. Naruko stood calmly at the center of the clearing, her expression steady and thoughtful. The air around her felt peaceful, yet powerful, like a quiet breeze before sunrise. Across from her stood Sasuke, tense and confused, unsure of what Naruko intended to do next. "You might be wondering what I used earlier," Naruko said gently. "It was a harmless technique that affects the senses for only a short time. No damage. Just enough to help everyone pause and think." She raised her fan-shaped tool, guiding the wind into a soft barrier that safely redirected Sasuke away from danger. He stumbled back, surprised, not hurt, just stunned by how quickly she moved. In the next moment, Naruko was already in front of him, not with anger, but with calm resolve. Naruko lowered her tools and adjusted her Yoso Seifuku, the outfit symbolizing her mastery of balance and elements. She focused her energy, not to harm, but to neutralize the situation. A warm glow of controlled fire energy brushed past Sasuke's shoulder, stopping short before it could do anything dangerous. It was a warning, not an attack. Everyone watching was astonished, not by cruelty, but by Naruko's control. She had grown strong, not just in skill, but in judgment. She knelt in front of Sasuke so they were eye level. "Power without responsibility only leads to pain," she said quietly. "I won't let that happen, to you or anyone else." Using a sealing scroll, Naruko carefully restrained Sasuke's unstable chakra. The markings that appeared were soft and temporary, designed to calm and protect, not hurt. Sasuke cried out, not from pain, but from frustration and fear of losing control. "This seal is similar to protective wards used in high-security places," Naruko explained. "It prevents chakra misuse and gives you time to recover." Sasuke collapsed from exhaustion, finally unconscious but safe. A clone of Naruko gently lifted him, ensuring he was supported properly. They soon reunited with Yamato, Sai, and Sakura. Sakura's eyes were red from crying, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. "Mission complete, Yamato," Naruko said clearly. "Everyone is safe." Sakura rushed forward emotionally, but Naruko calmly stepped aside and placed a steady hand on Sakura's wrist, not hurting her, just stopping her movement. "Please," Naruko said firmly. "This isn't the time for anger. We need understanding." Sakura froze, then slowly nodded, ashamed but relieved. Yamato gave a small smile. "You handled this like a true leader, Naruko." The journey back to the village was quiet. When they arrived, they were brought directly to the Hokage's office. Inside, Tsunade was asleep at her desk, snoring softly. Shizune hurried in, waking her with a sigh. Tsunade blinked, then immediately noticed the team's condition, and Sasuke being carefully escorted by Naruko's clone. "Mission complete," Tsunade said. "Good work. But I need to understand, why is Sasuke restrained?" Before Sakura could speak, Naruko raised a hand. "I made the call, Naruko said respectfully. Not out of fear, but prevention. If his power awakened uncontrollably, it could endanger everyone, including himself. Naruko calmly explained every decision she made, step by step. Tsunade listened silently, then nodded. You showed restraint, foresight, and compassion, the Hokage said. Those are the marks of someone ready to protect others. Naruko bowed slightly. She had learned that true strength wasn't about defeating others, it was about keeping everyone safe, even when it was hard. And for the first time, everyone truly saw her not just as a ninja, but as a guardian of peace. Naruko stood calmly in the Hokage's office, her posture steady and her expression thoughtful. When Lady Tsunade left briefly, Naruko said softly, I used a sealing technique of my own design on Orochimaru. It is called Uzumaki Fuin Jutsu, Aku to Fuhai Shita no Shiru, which means seal of corrupted darkness. The seal absorbs harmful chakra and techniques, preventing them from being used again. It is meant to stop dangerous power from hurting anyone. The room fell silent. Lady Tsunade, Shizune, and Yamato stared at Naruko in astonishment. The complexity of the seal was unlike anything they had seen before, elegant, precise, and deeply rooted in Uzumaki knowledge. Shizune's eyes shone with pride. Naruko. That seal is incredible. Naruko gave a small nod. Is that all, Lady Tsunade? Tsunade nodded slowly, still processing everything. Naruko bowed politely and stepped out of the office. As the door closed, Shizune exhaled in awe. I can't believe she created something like that, she said. It might even rival the greatest sealing techniques ever recorded. Tsunade folded her arms thoughtfully. The Uzumaki clan truly was extraordinary. Naruko is carrying that legacy forward. Later that evening, Naruko walked peacefully through the village, hands tucked into her jacket pockets, enjoying the lantern lights and quiet chatter around her. She stopped when she noticed Shizune sitting alone near a small food stand, looking tired. Shizune Ne-chan? Naruko asked gently. Are you okay? Shizune smiled, a bit worn out. Just a long day. Lots of paperwork and running around. Naruko nodded knowingly. Then you shouldn't be alone. Come on, let's get something warm to eat. They headed to Ichiraku Ramen, where Tucci greeted them with his usual cheerful grin. Welcome. What can I get you to? I'll have miso ramen, Naruko said brightly. And shrimp ramen for me, Shizune added. As they ate, Shizune talked about her day, hospital duties, helping Tsunade, and trying to keep everything organized. Naruko listened quietly, giving her full attention. You're really good at listening, Shizune said with a small laugh. Naruko smiled. Everyone needs to be heard sometimes. After a pause, Shizune asked gently, You've seemed tense lately. Is something bothering you? Naruko looked down at her bowl, thinking. I guess. I just want people to trust me. I've worked hard, but sometimes it feels like that effort gets overlooked. Shizune nodded with understanding. That makes sense. Growth isn't always noticed right away, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. Naruko's smile returned, softer but steadier. Thanks, Shizune Ne-chan. That helps. They finished their meal laughing lightly, the earlier weight gone. When they stood to leave, Naruko made sure Shizune was feeling okay before walking her safely home. The village lights glowed warmly behind them, and for the first time that day, Naruko felt truly at peace, confident not just in her strength, but in the bonds she was building. Naruko Uzumaki, she/her, had always believed that small victories mattered. Found them, she exclaimed, lifting a ring of shiny metal keys and giving them a proud little shake. Her grin stretched wide as she held them up for Shizune to see, as if she had just discovered hidden treasure instead of something misplaced under a table. Shizune let out a relieved laugh. You're a lifesaver, Naruko. Naruko beamed at the praise. Helping people always made her feel warm inside, like sunlight settling in her chest. She carefully selected a key, concentrating harder than she probably needed to, and after a few tries, it finally clicked into place. The door swung open with a gentle thud as Naruko stumbled forward, catching herself just in time. Whoa, still getting the hang of that, she said sheepishly. Shizune smiled and ushered her inside. The apartment was quiet, cozy, and welcoming, filled with soft lamplight and shelves of neatly arranged books and supplies. Naruko looked around with open curiosity, taking everything in. You keep this place really nice, Naruko said honestly. Thanks, Shizune replied. I try. They settled at the small table near the window, and Shizune poured 2 cups of warm tea. Naruko wrapped her hands around the cup, enjoying the gentle heat. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Shizune sighed softly. "Sometimes I forget how important it is to slow down," she admitted. Naruko nodded. "Yeah. I used to think I had to rush everything to prove myself. But now I know it's okay to learn one step at a time." Shizune looked at her with quiet admiration. Naruko wasn't just energetic and optimistic, she was growing, learning, and becoming more thoughtful every day. "I'm glad you came by," Shizune said. "Me too," Naruko replied brightly. "Anytime you need help, I'm your girl." They clinked their teacups together with a soft tap, sharing a peaceful moment built on trust, friendship, and mutual respect. And as Naruko smiled, she felt proud, not because she had found the keys, but because she was learning what it truly meant to be dependable. Naruko Uzumaki stretched her arms high above her head as the morning sunlight streamed through the window. A soft yawn escaped her as she sat up, blinking away sleep. Today felt important, though she wasn't quite sure why yet. Maybe it was because she'd promised herself that every new day was a chance to become a better version of who she was yesterday. She hopped out of bed and quickly tidied her small room. It wasn't fancy, but it was hers, and she liked that. Pulling on her favorite jacket, she smiled at her reflection. Naruko had always believed that smiling made hard days easier, even when things didn't go perfectly. Later that morning, she met her friends at the training grounds. They greeted her with waves and laughter, happy to see her usual bright energy. Naruko listened carefully as her mentor spoke, nodding with determination. She didn't always get things right on the first try, but she never stopped trying, and that mattered. During a break, Naruko sat beneath a tree with a close friend, sharing snacks and stories. The breeze was cool, and the leaves rustled gently overhead. Moments like this made her feel calm and safe. She realized that strength didn't always mean running faster or jumping higher. Sometimes, it meant being kind, patient, and willing to learn. As the day wound down, Naruko walked home feeling pleasantly tired. She thought about everything she'd learned, not just about training, but about teamwork and believing in herself. Crawling into bed that night, she felt proud. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but she was ready. With a quiet smile, Naruko closed her eyes, knowing that growing up wasn't about being perfect. It was about doing your best, caring for others, and never giving up on your dreams. Naruko Uzumaki woke up with a start, her mind foggy and her thoughts tangled like loose strings. Something felt off. Very off. The first thing she noticed was that the bed felt unfamiliar. Not uncomfortable, just not hers. The second thing she noticed was the quiet breathing beside her. Her eyes widened. Naruko carefully sat up and looked around. The room was tidy, filled with books, plants, and neatly stacked papers. Recognition dawned, followed quickly by panic. "This is Shizune's place," she whispered. Before her thoughts could spiral any further, the person on the other side of the room stirred. Shizune sat up from a chair near the desk, clearly having fallen asleep while reading. Her hair was slightly messy, and she looked just as surprised as Naruko felt. "Oh," Shizune said. "You're awake." Naruko blinked. Then she laughed nervously. "I guess we both fell asleep in the wrong places." Shizune smiled with relief. "You were exhausted after your mission report yesterday. You stopped by to return a book, and we ended up talking for hours. I didn't want you walking home so late, so I told you to rest here." Naruko rubbed the back of her head, embarrassed. "Wow. I really need to work on pacing myself." They both laughed, the tension fading completely. After a few minutes, Shizune brought over 2 warm cups of tea. They sat at the small kitchen table, sunlight streaming through the window. "You've changed a lot, Naruko," Shizune said kindly. "You're more thoughtful. More aware." Naruko smiled, holding her cup with both hands. "I'm trying. I still have a lot to learn, but I want to be someone people can rely on." "That already shows," Shizune replied. Naruko stood and stretched. "Thanks for looking out for me, Shizune Ne-chan. I won't forget it." Any lingering awkwardness was gone, replaced by mutual respect and understanding. Naruko waved goodbye and stepped outside, the fresh morning air filling her lungs. As she walked back into the village, she felt lighter, not because of what happened, but because of how far she'd come. And today, she decided, was going to be a good day. Naruko Uzumaki had changed over the years, but not in a dark way. She had grown calmer, more thoughtful, and far more confident in herself. Where she once rushed into everything, she now paused, listened, and considered the feelings of others, even when she did not fully understand her own. Shizune noticed this change more than anyone. They saw each other often, almost every day, whether in the village streets, the Hokage's office, or during errands. Because of that, phrases like "see you later" felt a little confusing to Shizune. Did it mean later that day? Tomorrow? Next week? She found herself worrying about small things she never used to think about. One afternoon, while shopping for new clothes, Shizune spotted a familiar figure near the fabric stall. Hello, Naruko," she said softly, fidgeting with her sleeves. Naruko turned and smiled, not teasing, not serious, just warm. "Oh, hi Shizune. Looks like we keep running into each other." Shizune's face grew warm. "I swear it's just coincidence." Naruko chuckled gently. "I believe you." That simple response eased Shizune's nerves. Still, she felt unsure how to define their friendship now. Nothing was wrong, just unfamiliar. A serious meeting, a calm voice. The following Monday, everyone gathered in the Hokage's office. Lady Tsunade sat at her desk, calm and focused. Around her were Naruko, Shizune, Sakura, Sai, Yamato, Kakashi, and Jiraiya. "Thank you for coming," Tsunade said. "We're here to discuss an important village matter." The conversation was serious, but respectful. Different opinions were shared, and Naruko listened carefully before speaking. "We need to make choices that protect people and allow room for understanding," Naruko said firmly. "Whatever happens, it should be guided by responsibility, not anger." Her words surprised some of the others, in a good way. Naruko was no longer impulsive. She had grown into someone others could rely on. Tsunade nodded. "Well said." When the meeting ended, Tsunade asked Naruko, Jiraiya, and Shizune to stay behind briefly to discuss future duties. Nothing frightening, nothing harsh, just planning and trust. Shizune takes care of herself. Afterward, Tsunade noticed Shizune rubbing her eyes. "You look tired," Tsunade said gently. "Why don't you visit the hospital and rest? Your health matters." Shizune hesitated, then nodded. "I think you're right." For the past week, she had felt unusually tired and unfocused. That wasn't like her at all. She decided it was best to listen to her body. At the hospital, she was greeted by Ningyo, a kind medical ninja with a calm voice. "Shizune-senpai, what brings you in today?" Ningyo asked. "I've been feeling run down lately," Shizune admitted. "I just want to make sure everything is okay." Ningyo smiled reassuringly. "That's a good decision. Let's take a look and make sure you're getting the rest you need." The examination was simple and gentle. Ningyo asked questions about sleep, stress, and daily routines. Nothing scary, just care and attention. "You've been pushing yourself hard," Ningyo said kindly. "Your body is asking for a break." Shizune felt relieved. "I guess I forgot to slow down." Growth, trust, and looking forward. Later that evening, Shizune walked home feeling lighter. She realized something important: taking care of others didn't mean forgetting herself. Naruko, meanwhile, watched the village from a rooftop, thinking about how much she had learned. Strength wasn't about being loud or forceful, it was about kindness, patience, and choosing the right path even when it was difficult. Both of them were growing in their own ways. And tomorrow, whether they said "see you later" or "see you soon," they knew they would keep moving forward, together. Naruko Uzumaki had always been known for her bright spirit and boundless energy. Even as she grew older and wiser, that spark never left her. She laughed easily, made friends wherever she went, and had a special talent for making others feel welcome, especially children. Shizune sat nervously in the village medical office, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Ningyo, the gentle medic in charge, offered her a calm smile. "I asked you here today because the test results are ready," Ningyo said kindly. "Please remember, whatever the news is, you're not alone." Shizune took a slow breath and nodded. After a brief pause, Ningyo spoke again. "The results show that your body is going through a major change. It's nothing dangerous, but it will require care, rest, and planning." Shizune blinked. Change?" "Yes," Ningyo replied. "One that will shape your future. It's a lot to take in." The room felt very quiet. Shizune sat back, overwhelmed, not afraid, just surprised. Ningyo stayed close, making sure she was steady and comfortable. "You don't have to decide anything right now," Ningyo added gently. "What matters most is that you have support." That word lingered in Shizune's mind. Support. Later that day, Shizune wandered through the village, lost in thought. The sun was warm, and the sounds of laughter drifted through the air. Following the noise, she arrived at the Central Park. There, she saw Naruko. Naruko was helping a group of young children climb safely across a colorful jungle gym, cheering them on with her usual enthusiasm. She laughed when one of them proudly reached the top and clapped like it was the greatest achievement in the world. Shizune stopped walking. Watching Naruko like this, patient, joyful, completely present, made something inside her chest loosen. Naruko wasn't pretending. This kindness was real. It always had been. Naruko noticed her and waved, jogging over with a bright smile. "Hey! You look like you've had a long day." Shizune nodded slowly, then surprised herself by smiling back. "Yeah," she said. "But I think it's going to be okay." Naruko didn't press for details. She simply sat beside her on the bench, offering quiet company. Sometimes, that was more than enough. As the children laughed nearby and the leaves rustled gently overhead, Shizune realized something important. Whatever challenges lay ahead, she didn't have to face them alone. And Naruko, steadfast, warm, and endlessly hopeful, was proof that growth often begins with kindness. "Naruko," Shizune called, lifting her hand and waving her over. The cheerful blonde girl turned around, her bright blue eyes widening in surprise. She tilted her head, then made a playful face by puffing out her cheeks. The nearby children giggled, clearly delighted by Naruko's silliness. Shizune paused. She had expected Naruko to joke, but not quite like that. Still, instead of scolding her, Naruko knelt down to the children's level with a gentle smile. "All right, team," Naruko said kindly. "I'm going to talk with that lady for a moment. Stay right here and keep playing." A chorus of disappointed sighs followed, but Naruko waved reassuringly before standing up and walking toward Shizune. As she approached, her playful expression softened into one of concern. "You called me over," Naruko said calmly. "Is everything okay?" Shizune hesitated. She had practiced what she wanted to say, but suddenly the words felt heavy. After glancing around and noticing how many curious eyes were watching, she spoke quietly. "Could we talk somewhere a little more private?" Naruko blinked, surprised, but nodded at once. "Of course." They sat on a bench beneath a shady tree not far from the playground. Naruko leaned forward slightly, her hands resting on her knees. "You seem worried," she said gently. "Did I mess something up?" Shizune shook her head. "No. This isn't about something bad you did. It's about something important." Naruko listened closely, her usual energy replaced by patience. Shizune took a deep breath. "I've been asked to lead a new project at the hospital," Shizune said. "It's a big responsibility, and I'm scared. I don't know if I'm ready." Naruko's eyes softened. "That makes sense. Big responsibilities can feel overwhelming." Shizune smiled weakly. "Everyone thinks I'm strong all the time. I just needed someone to hear me say that I'm nervous." Naruko nodded. "Being strong doesn't mean never being afraid. It means choosing to move forward anyway." They sat quietly for a moment, listening to laughter from the playground. "You know," Naruko added, "I used to think running away made problems disappear. But I've learned that courage is staying, even when your legs want to move." Shizune let out a small laugh. "That sounds like something you learned the hard way." Naruko smiled. "Definitely. But I'm still learning." Shizune stood up, feeling lighter than before. "Thank you, Naruko. I think I know what to do now." Naruko rose as well. "Anytime. If you ever need support, I'm here." As they walked back toward the children, Naruko felt proud, not because she had all the answers, but because she had chosen to listen, stay present, and grow. And that, she realized, was its own kind of strength. Naruko stood quietly across from her mentor, her hands resting flat on the table as she searched for the right words. Her voice trembled, not with anger, but with uncertainty. "You know I'm struggling," she said softly. I don't know what the right answer is." Her mentor sighed, folding their hands calmly. "Naruko, you already know I can't decide this for you." She frowned, shoulders tensing. "But you've been through so much. I thought maybe you'd understand how confusing this feels." For a moment, her mentor said nothing, then gently replied, "I do understand. And that's why I know this is something only you can face." Naruko looked down, her reflection wavering in the polished surface of the table. "What if I choose wrong?" Her mentor smiled kindly. "You've never let fear stop you before. You learn, you grow, and you keep going. That's who you are." That simple truth settled into her heart. Naruko took a deep breath and nodded. "Then I'll face it," she said. "No running away." Later that morning, sunlight filtered into a small apartment where Shizune sat quietly, holding a warm cup of tea. She looked tired, but thoughtful, her mind filled with worries about the future. A gentle knock echoed through the room. When she opened the door, she found Naruko standing there, hands clasped nervously, eyes sincere. "I'm sorry," Naruko said. "For leaving before. For being scared. I should have stayed and listened." Shizune studied her for a long moment. Then she stepped aside, allowing Naruko in. "You're here now," Shizune said. "That matters." Naruko smiled faintly. "I don't have all the answers. But I want to help. I want to do what's right, together." The tension eased, replaced with quiet understanding. Neither of them knew exactly what the future would hold, but they knew they wouldn't face it alone. And for Naruko, that realization made all the difference. The kunai in Naruko's hand slipped and clattered loudly against the wooden floor. She glanced down, cheeks flushing slightly, and muttered, "Oops. That was close." Her friend, a cheerful young ninja, looked up at her with wide eyes. "So, does that mean you forgive me?" he asked, hopeful. Naruko tilted her head thoughtfully. She had to admit, it was impressive how he could make himself look small and nervous even though he was a skilled ninja. Still, she wasn't going to let him off that easily. "No," she said firmly, but a small smile tugged at her lips. "However, I am willing to give you a chance. You have to promise to follow my instructions whenever I ask, okay?" He swallowed hard, eyes widening. "Well. But. You said you'd do anything, right?" Naruko prompted gently. "Yeah. But. Isn't your ninja way to never go back on your word?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. He groaned softly. That was the second time someone had cleverly used his own words against him today. Naruko laughed quietly, shaking her head. "All right," she said, her tone warm but firm, "let's start with something simple today. I need you to help around the apartment. Wash the dishes, tidy up the floors, and sweep the hallways." He stared at her in shock. "That counts as light chores?" Naruko chuckled. "Yes. Even the strongest ninja can learn the importance of keeping their space neat. Plus, it's a great way to practice focus and patience." He sighed dramatically, but there was a hint of determination in his eyes. "Okay. I'll do it. I promise." "Good," Naruko said with a proud smile. "See? Keeping your word can be fun, especially when you do it together." And with that, they spent the afternoon laughing, cleaning, and discovering that even the smallest tasks could become an adventure when shared with a friend. Biting her fingernails nervously, Shizune slowly walked down the quiet street of the residential district. She wasn't looking forward to this at all. Every step made her stomach twist tighter, but she knew she had to keep going. There was no more putting it off. "Shizune. Hey, Shizune, wait up." A familiar voice called from behind her. With a groan, she turned around to see a blonde girl running toward her as fast as her legs could carry her. "You forgot your lunch," Shizune exclaimed, raising her eyebrows in surprise as Naruko held out a neatly wrapped bento box. Despite her constant teasing, Naruko had proven to be incredibly dependable and kind. Ever since Shizune had asked her for help with some of the daily chores, Naruko had done everything with a cheerful attitude. Whether it was tidying up, helping with errands, or preparing snacks, Naruko had managed to do it all without complaint. Thanks," Shizune mumbled, taking the bento box carefully. She felt a little touched, though it also made her a bit uncomfortable. Naruko's eagerness was almost motherly. "How did you manage to make lunch and catch up to me so fast?" Shizune asked, curious. Shrugging, Naruko grinned. "Well, after helping you so much lately, my hands just know what to do. It's like learning a new jutsu." With a dramatic flourish, Naruko suddenly formed a series of hand signs, most of which Shizune had never seen before. Her eyes widened as she watched her friend focus intensely. "Shrimp bento jutsu," Naruko shouted, finishing the hand signs with a confident smile. Shizune stared, mouth slightly open. Could it be true? Had Naruko really made an instant lunch appear? Her rational mind knew it was probably just a clever trick, but she couldn't help feeling impressed. "I guess you being a little silly isn't all for show," she said, a small smile creeping onto her face. Naruko's grin widened in response. "It made you smile, didn't it?" Naruko said, winking. Shizune covered her mouth, realizing she was indeed smiling. For a moment, the tension in her chest lifted. Naruko waved goodbye cheerfully and jogged ahead, full of energy and optimism. Shizune shook her head, feeling lighter than she had in the past hour. What she had to do next was daunting, but with friends like Naruko around, she felt she could handle anything. Naruko was bright, caring, and relentlessly cheerful, qualities that made even the hardest days a little easier. As Shizune approached the tall, white gates of the Hyuga mansion, a shiver ran down her spine. Inside would be much more intimidating than outside, but she took a deep breath and squared her shoulders. "Shizune-san, is everything all right?" A calm voice asked from the front, startling her. She realized she was grateful for the small comforts in life, like coming prepared and staying focused, so she didn't trip over her own nerves. Taking a deep breath, she smiled politely. "Yes. Thank you. I'm ready." Naruko shook her head, giving the white-eyed man a small, tired smile. "I'm fine. Just a little worn out, I guess." The man nodded, as if he understood, and continued down the hallway, leaving Naruko quietly relieved. If he had been more experienced, he might have guessed exactly what was bothering her, but perhaps he simply didn't notice. Naruko followed him until they reached a large set of double doors. She knew these doors well. She had spent nearly 2 years practicing behind them with her best friend, or, perhaps, soon-to-be former best friend. The guard standing nearby bowed quickly and stepped aside, almost as if he could sense something was about to happen. Naruko watched him leave with a small, amused frown. Even though she silently judged him, she knew she would have run away just as fast in his place, if not faster. Taking a deep breath, she lifted her hand, calloused from years of training, and tapped lightly on the door. Her gaze flicked once more to the departing guard, and she briefly wondered if it would be safer to follow him. After all, she'd sparred with Hyugas before, and her chances of getting through unscathed were always about 50-50. The door swung open, revealing a young, pale-eyed girl with long brown hair. She looked at Naruko with a calm, neutral expression, then turned to the rest of the room. "It's Shizune-san." The room erupted with bustling sounds of surprise and excitement, leaving Naruko curious about what had been going on before she arrived. It didn't take long for her to notice. The girl's cheeks were slightly pink, and her hair had been gathered into a loose ponytail. A small touch of color on her lips made her look cheerful and lively, no doubt the handiwork of a friend who loved attention to detail. "Well, don't you look cheerful?" Naruko said, genuinely smiling, grateful for a light-hearted distraction. "Did your One-chan help you with it?" the younger girl asked. Naruko only nodded, a tiny smile tugging at her lips. She then bowed slightly to Shizune before leaving the room, practically bouncing with excitement. Hinata appeared in the doorway, her black hair falling in soft waves as she embraced her friend warmly. "Shizune-chan. Where have you been? I haven't seen you in weeks," she exclaimed, her happiness clear. Naruko returned the hug awkwardly, still adjusting to the sudden burst of energy. Yeah. You too," Naruko said, hesitating. "Actually, I have something to tell you." Hinata clapped her hands together, excitement sparkling in her eyes. "Did you see Hanabi-chan? Didn't she look adorable?" She led Naruko to the now cleared bed and urged her to sit. Naruko sighed but forced a polite smile. "You mean Hanabi's new hairstyle?" Naruko asked, trying to steer the conversation to calmer ground. Hinata shook her head, leaning in with a mischievous grin. "No, silly. It's about Konohamaru-kun. You know, the Sandaime's grandson? Hanabi has a little crush on him." Naruko chuckled. "Of course she does. He's quite the mischievous one. He's just like us when we were younger," Hinata continued. "And I was thinking, what if we had a double celebration when we both get married? Hanabi and Konohamaru, and maybe you and Naruto-kun." Naruko's cheeks warmed, and she quickly looked down. This wasn't exactly the easiest conversation to have. Hinata noticed and quickly covered her mouth, blushing. "Oh. I got carried away. Didn't you want to tell me something?" Naruko took a deep breath. "Well, it's a little surprising, but I'm going to have a baby." Hinata froze for a moment, then jumped to her feet in delight. "Really? That's amazing, Shizune-chan. When did you find out? We have to celebrate." Naruko blinked, half in shock. She had expected worry, maybe confusion, but not this cheerful excitement. "Sit down, Hinata," Naruko said, gently but firmly, her expression serious. Hinata reluctantly lowered herself back onto the bed, curious. "I'm not going to be alone in this," Naruko explained. "I have friends like you, and we'll figure everything out together." Relief and warmth filled the room as Hinata smiled, finally understanding. "We'll help you every step of the way." Outside, Sakura paused, having overheard the conversation. Her face lit up with determination. Naruko wasn't just any friend, she deserved every bit of support, and Sakura was ready to make sure she got it. Shizune paused outside the quiet room, steadying her thoughts before stepping inside. She wanted to speak carefully, kindly, and with respect. Honesty mattered, especially when hearts were involved. Hinata sat near the window, folding paper flowers with calm focus. She looked up and smiled when she noticed Shizune. "Hinata," Shizune said gently, "there's something important I need to tell you." Hinata nodded, setting the paper aside. "I'm listening." Shizune took a breath. "This might be surprising, but I want you to hear it from me. Naruko and I have been spending time together, training and helping each other grow. I care about her as a teammate and a friend." Hinata blinked, clearly surprised, but she stayed quiet. Shizune continued, "I know Naruko means a lot to you. She's kind, determined, and always tries her best. I wanted to be honest so there wouldn't be misunderstandings." For a moment, the room was silent. Then Hinata spoke softly. "I appreciate you telling me the truth. It startled me, but I know Naruko has a big heart. If you're both trying to be better people, that matters." Relief washed over Shizune's face. "Thank you for hearing me out." Just then, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Sakura peeked in, concern written across her face. "Is everything okay?" Hinata smiled, a little shy but sincere. "Yes. We were just talking." Elsewhere in the village, Naruko was training under the open sky, practicing balance and focus. She paused, sensing that something important had shifted, not with worry, but with hope. She believed in honesty, friendship, and learning from every experience. That evening, the three friends met together. There were no raised voices, no harsh words, only listening, understanding, and a shared promise to respect one another. And in that moment, each of them grew a little stronger, not through conflict, but through kindness. Fat tears rolled down her cheeks, but Naruko's determination didn't waver. She glared at the older ninja in front of her, trying to show that she wouldn't give up, even if she felt hurt inside. Slowly, the medic ninja Shizune got to her feet and walked toward the open window, thinking it might be the quickest way to leave. She glanced back one last time, her face filled with quiet sadness. "I'm sorry," she whispered, before stepping out into the sunlight and heading home. Naruko took a deep breath, spreading her arms wide as she focused her chakra. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu," she called, creating 20 copies of herself, all circling around her in perfect formation. Each clone was ready to practice the new techniques she had learned, moving quickly but safely through the clearing. The air shimmered as the clones practiced jumping, spinning, and dodging, their motions full of energy and focus. After a long practice session, the real Naruko collapsed on the soft grass, laughing and gasping for breath. Just then, two familiar figures approached her. "Naruko," Sakura said gently, her voice serious but caring. Naruko frowned, still tired but aware that her friends were concerned. "What is it this time?" she asked, trying to sit up straight. "Naruko," Ino added softly, "we just want to make sure you're okay. You pushed yourself so hard today, and we don't want you to get hurt." Naruko smiled sheepishly. "I'm fine. Really. I just want to keep getting stronger so I can protect everyone." Sakura knelt beside her, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "That's admirable, but remember, strength isn't just about fighting or speed. It's about being kind, being brave, and helping others when they need it. You can't do everything alone." Naruko nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest. "I know. I'll do my best, not just for me, but for everyone I care about." Ino gave a little smile. "That's the Naruko we know. Just promise us one thing, don't push yourself too hard. You're important to us." "I promise," Naruko said firmly, standing up with renewed energy. She stretched her arms and took a deep breath, ready to continue her training with her friends by her side. "And together, we can do anything." As the sun began to set over the training field, Naruko and her friends laughed, shared stories, and practiced their techniques, each step bringing them closer, not just as ninjas, but as a family of friends who believed in each other. Looking closer, Naruko recognized the small, trembling figure as Shizune. "Shizune? Are you okay?" she asked gently, stepping closer. The girl froze but didn't turn around. "Go away," Shizune whispered, her voice shaky. Naruko knelt down beside her, careful not to crowd her. "Where does it hurt? Are you upset? Do you want to talk?" she asked softly. Slowly, Shizune lifted her head, tear-streaked and clearly overwhelmed. Naruko put a comforting hand on her shoulder. "It's okay to feel sad. Whatever's bothering you, you don't have to face it alone." Shizune sniffled, her hands covering her face. I made a mistake, and I don't know how to fix it. I'm scared Hinata won't forgive me. Naruko nodded, her voice calm and kind. We all make mistakes. What matters is that you try to make things right. And friends forgive each other when they see we're truly sorry. You'll be okay. Slowly, Shizune leaned against Naruko, feeling a bit of relief. Naruko's encouragement was gentle but steady, helping her feel safe and understood. You're really kind, Naruko, Shizune whispered. Naruko smiled. That's what friends are for. You don't have to carry everything by yourself. Dear YouTube family. This is all for now. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Your support means the world and keeps the content coming. Thank you. Regards. 6 Path Weeb.